At the height of its power, the kingdom of Lordaeron stretched across most of the Lordaeron subcontinent. After the fall of the Arthurian Empire, Lordaeron's lands expanded, surrounding and stretching beyond those of the other human kingdoms. And when war came upon the people of Lordaeron, its people bled in defense of all 7 kingdoms. When the orcs took Stormwind on the eve of the First War, the survivors fled to Lordaeron, seeking refuge and retribution. The orcs followed, recruiting the forest trolls of the north, and began their campaign against the mighty human kingdom along its southern shores, marking the beginning of the Second War. The sight of those skirmishes would never be the same again. Blood and conflict would mar the future of the Hillsbrad Foothills. When the orcs threatened Lordaeron at the dawn of the Second War, the leaders of the human kingdoms formed the Alliance of Lordaeron to contest the beasts. Among the factions to join the alliance was the kingdom of Alterac. The kingdom spanned much of the Alterac Mountains, and its proximity to the kingdom of Stromgarde often led the two to skirmishes. When the orcs swept across the Hillsbrad Foothills, King Paranold of Alterac recognized the slim chances he had of winning a confrontation with the Horde. He struck a deal with the orcs, feeding them information and allowing them to pass through his lands unhindered. Eventually, King Trollbane of Stromgarde uncovered Paranold's treason and marched his army on Alterac. With the fall of the kingdom of Alterac, it was left to Lordaeron's King Taranis II to decide what to do with the land. He eventually decided, through magical persuasion, to give it to Lord Prestor, Deathwing, in disguise. When Lord Prestor mysteriously disappeared, Alterac was left to ruin, and remains so to this day. The mountain's foothills, however, were retaken by the forces of Lordaeron after the defeat of the Horde. King Taranis II decided to place the orcs captured during the war in internment camps, and it was Durnhold Keep, situated at the foothills' northeastern corner, that served as the command center for these internment camps. It was in this keep that a young thrall was interred and raised. He befriended the human Taretha Foxton, and with her help escaped Durnhold. He liberated the surrounding internment camps, and returned to destroy the keep for good. When the Third War came upon Lordaeron, Hillsbrad escaped mostly unscathed. Taran Mill fell to the Scourge and was later taken by the Forsaken, and the city of Dalaran, on the northwestern borders of the foothills, was decimated by Archimonde. For the many years to follow, however, the now Horde town of Taran Mill and the Alliance-controlled South Shore would be constantly at each other's throats, with tensions between the two factions often settled in skirmishes over the foothills. Further north, within the Alterac Mountains, the Stormpike Dwarves and the Frostwolf Orcs also skirmish over the lands, each seeking to secure the area for their faction. After Garrosh Hellscream took the mantle of Warchief, however, the war efforts of the Horde were redoubled. In a bid to seize Hillsbrad for themselves, the Forsaken used a particularly virulent strain of blight on South Shore. It decimated the town, and most of the humans of Hillsbrad fled. Some went to Silverpine, where they were eventually recruited by Darius Crowley and transformed into Worgen. Others made for Arathi Highlands, but were cut down before they made it. Still others were captured and forced into the sludge fields. Only along the Four Fingers, where the forces of the Stormpike became active, did the Alliance keep a foothold in the area. It was after the Forsaken had settled in Hillsbrad, and after the events in Silverpine had led to the surrender of a large faction of the Worgen defenders, that a Forsaken soldier enters Hillsbrad, backed by the command of the Dark Lady herself. The soldier meets with several of the Horde's best troops in the area, before being sent to investigate the spider mines to the south and the sludge fields to the north. At the sludge fields, the Forsaken soldier finds the Warden Stillwater in distress. The Warden claims that the humans working in his fields had purposely eaten toxic mushrooms and transformed into monstrosities in a last-ditch rebellion attempt. As the soldier begins to help clean up the situation, however, it becomes clear that the Warden's story is not entirely transparent. The soldier finds a journal describing the horrors of the past few weeks at the sludge fields, and later finds a master apothecary sent by Sylvanas herself to investigate the fields. The apothecary is caged, and reveals that the Warden's experiments are what are causing the humans to transform, and the side effects of those experiments are turning Forsaken into mindless ghouls. The Master Apothecary orders the true death execution of Warden Stillwater, and the sludge fields are eventually retaken from the mad scientist. Afterward, the soldier is sent to help investigate the ruins of South Shore, where the blight used to decimate the town is still contaminating the land. The soldier uses equipment to find that the lethality levels of the blight are higher than expected, and that despite the Forsaken's best efforts, the town will likely be uninhabitable for at least a century. The soldier also learns that one of the veterans he met with earlier, Kingslayer Orcus, is in the area and was last seen heading off the southern coast. The soldier finds Orcus at the South Shore docks, where he is frantically splashing in the water's shallows. His mount, Kasha, is injured, and after coming to his senses, Orcus tells the story of how he stumbled upon Vandar Stormpike and Belinda Stonehearth, two of the commanders of the battles raging in the Alterac Valley. Orcus was confronted, and the two Alliance leaders escape, but not before Orcus learned of a planned meeting on Purgation Isle, off Hillsbrad's coast. The two plan to meet with Ivar Bloodfang, leader of the Wild Worgen in Silverpine. Orcus and the Forsaken soldier hurry off to eavesdrop on the meeting and intercept any plans the Alliance might have for Hillsbrad. On the Isle, the two Horde soldiers are able to find the Alliance meeting. Orcus distracts the Alliance leaders, while the other soldier grabs the Stormpike battle plans and prepares to escape atop Kasha. Orcus is heavily wounded in the fighting, and as they fly away from the island, Orcus passes away, wishing only to see Kasha find a good home. The Forsaken soldier lands in Taran Mill and tells Cromash of the mission and of the battle plans. Cromash promises to honor Orcus for his sacrifice and put a stop to the Alliance plans for good. The Frostwolf clan in the north are still at war, attempting to seize the Alterac region for themselves. The Forsaken soldier heads to them for assistance in defending Hillsbrad and meets with Drekthar, leader of the Frostwolves. Drekthar tells the Forsaken in no uncertain terms that he will never assist the Forsaken. The Alliance army has set up camps of operation along the Four Fingers, avoiding the detection of the Horde. The Stormpike has also gotten the help of SI-7, a branch of intelligence units in the Stormwind army. The Forsaken soldier moves to sabotage the Stormpike's advances and plants goblin pocket nukes at each of the fingers. Once set, the soldier returns to Cromash, and the Horde exacts retribution on the Alliance forces to an apocalyptic degree. Once the Horde's position in Hillsbrad is secured once more, the soldier is sent to the Arathi Highlands to continue the Horde's fight for land. The green foothills of Hillsbrad are soaked in blood, ravaged by war, and tainted by the Forsaken's chemical blight. What was once a peaceful land full of farming villages is now a forward base for the Forsaken war machine as it continues its quest across the face of Lordaeron. Whether the hills will ever see a return to peace is yet to be seen, but it is certain that the Forsaken will not freely give up the land they fought so hard to take.